Welcome to the social circle where creators come together to turn ideas into impact and goals into a reality. I am Candace, and this is.
I'm Jen. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Joining us from wherever you are. I'm super glad you guys are here. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you being here today.
Yay. I'm so glad that we just remembered that on our own. Both of us is what, 11 episodes in now?
It's
Is
getting
this?
a little bit easier, I got to admit.
Yeah.
We notice things and then we're like, okay, we got to fix it. And then now we're just like, it's a little bit better. And I know I tripped up on the before and afters, but
No,
still,
I'm
the
proud of
point is, it's
us.
getting better.
Exactly. I'm super proud of us, and I'm not gonna switch it up or anything here, but today we want to talk about analytics,
Yep.
right?
So important.
Because it's something again that we didn't have a freaking clue about in the very beginning was actually how analytics and the algorithm, right? The big bad A word, algorithm actually freaking work because there's so much BS out there, right? There's so
That's
much just crap.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that part up too, because it's very important to recognize that stuff first. First and foremost is being able to point out the flash in the pan crap. Like I think right now, and my live stream was about this. My current issue now is we're seeing a lot of resurgence on the done for you, plug and play kind of thing. And the thing with those, I have a whole opinion on that. It's You just have to pay attention and you have to learn, like brass tacks.
I mean, literally no other way to say it. Like, you
Yeah.
have to learn these skills. There's no magic button
No.
because I'm going to tell you a secret and don't tell anybody else. But I put myself into a rabbit hole this past weekend of looking back at people, and I shouldn't have because it gave me just a sad, salty taste in my mouth all week because I'm still seeing these people doing the same things. But now I'm at the end of the week and I'm like, those people are still doing the same things.
They never learned the skill. They just learned the copy paste, and that was it.
Exactly.
And that's all it
That's
is
what I
going to be.
noticed. But that's what I
Yeah.
noticed when I was, and of course, when I was deep in it, I had heavy, heavy imposter syndrome, which we've talked about. You can
Yep.
check that out. We have talked about that before. But it just took me down into this hole. And now at the end of the week, I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm so much better than they are. Like, and who
Yeah.
knows if half of those comments are real or if they paid for them.
And that's the thing too, is it's creation, right? You're learning the creativity and how to be the original, not just how to copy because you don't understand why that worked for them and why now you're assuming you're shadow banned, but you're not, right? It's because you're just doing probably something you shouldn't. You're not paying attention. And I'm not
Amen.
I'm not sugarcoating anything, right? Because that's not what we do here. We
No,
give
and you
it
know
to
what?
you.
Jennifer, that's a perfect segue for our circle hack.
Yes, we can go right into that. So, bringing to mind, right, we are going to go right into our circle hack, which is actually going over shadow banning. It is not a thing, people. It is not a thing. Shadow banning is a made-up term for people who are trying to sell you something to scare you into buying. Essentially, what needs to be cleared up once and for all, right here, right now, it is something that shadow banning is not what people think that it is. 99% of the case, it is not why your content isn't performing. The truth of the matter is there's no official shadow ban. It's just a ban, and they tell you that they're banning you because you did something against community guideline. Whether you agree or not, every platform, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they don't make it a secret that they're going to ban you at all. So it's just a made up term. We're just going to lay that out flat. You agree,
Amen.
disagree.
Amen. And we can tell you that because not only
Yeah.
have we heard the Instagram of CEO Adam Mosseri say it,
Yes.
I have asked in my Instagram creators group. It's a global it's a global meta creators group. And I have asked them, and they have said that it's not like it is a term. It is a
Yeah.
term that people use. It's not an actual thing.
Right.
Shadow
Yeah.
banning, by the way, is pretty much just your content sucks.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
No, and that's the truth, right? And you may or may not like that fact, but in reality, you are unable to speak to your audience. Therefore, your engagement either dips or goes to just nothing. And
yep.
then it just won't go anywhere. The algorithm cannot pick anything up because your content, the value that you put inside that reel, did not perform well enough for the algorithm to say, this is amazing. We have to send it off. So,
Or
yeah.
even better, you didn't put any value in that reel,
Or that, yeah.
right?
Yes. So the platforms want to prioritize content that keeps people utilizing the app, right? That's their goal. If your post doesn't have that spark of interest, wanting, people to click and share and comment or save, it's just going to get passed over. It's not shadow banning. It's just something that your other competition is better than you are, and you just have
Right.
to step up your game.
Right.
Simple.
Look at your hook.
Yes.
Look at
Yep.
your video. Look at the topic. Does your audience even like that topic? Are you consistent or inconsistent? Right? The algorithm is not that smart as much as we want to think it is, but it's really not. Like, you have to tell it, you have
Mhm.
to put it plainly in your speech and in your words on the screen and in your caption where you want the algorithm to send that video. So that's
Exactly.
what's going to keep their attention and keep people around longer. And don't blame the dang ban. Don't blame a ban. Blah, blah,
Yeah, no,
shadow
it's
ban.
so right now we're going to give you some steps to walk away with because I think this is probably the most effective thing that you could do today. When you are thinking that you're being banned, right? First, go and check your insights. Look for patterns in your own content. What content did actually work? What content actually got skipped, right? You can tell based on just views alone, content that did very well is going to have many views. And then if you look a little further, it's going to have engagement of some sort alike a share, a save, or a comment. If it didn't, it'll have like less than 500 views. That just tells you that whatever's in that reel, your audience did not appreciate, did not like. It's not the algorithm whatsoever. Your content sucked. And I'm stealing that from Gary Vee because he did say that several times on lots of interviews. Improving your hook, like Candace just said, captions,
Yeah.
clarity, right? You need to know who you're speaking to. And all of that takes time to learn. And it just takes small amounts of tweaking to figure that out.
I was just talking to people about this morning in a Zoom because we were talking about how you can tell whether it's the video that performed well, whether it's the copy that you wrote, whether it's the song, boom, boom, boom. And I know that I can take a piece of content and if it doesn't perform well, I can look at it and say, this is why, based on the copy that I used or the video, because I've either tested it or I've used it before, or I'm trying something new.
100%. And that's that skill that you got to learn to build for yourself for your own kind of content. And that ties into what I was talking about, which is the done for you stuff. That material, it strictly worked for one individual, and they're like, I need to monetize this because what I was doing did well for me. Therefore, other people can plug and play and it'll work well for them. The problem with it, that kind of content or product doesn't teach you the how behind the plug and play. So you're just literally seeing it thinking, this is going to work for me. Well, what happens if you did that exact thing and now you're not getting any views at all? So you're going to start thinking, well, I bought that thing, so it made me shadow ban. No, not at all. You're just missing the pieces in between. And I think the important thing to walk away from right now is don't give your power away by blaming an invisible ban. There is
Amen, sister.
nothing you're being punished for except that you need to have a better strategy. And I think that is something that Candace harps on so much, and I love her for it because it's the truth.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I do. I mean, we talk about it a lot. Three to
Yeah,
five things, man. Pillars, strategy, whatever. They're I love, we did a podcast about how to do content pillars, right? And
yep,
the number one, like one of the strategies we gave people was pick 5 hashtags. Pick 3 to 5 hashtags that like are you,
yeah.
and then go from there. And those could be your pillars. You have to really look at the key factors and the things that are influencing what makes your content pop across every platform because they're all different.
Hmm.
They're all 100% different. And I mean, I personally have different audiences on each of them. So,
Very true. Very true. Um, Something to just always remember, and we're always going to talk about this, so you're not going to not ever hear this, but engagement triggers visibility, and that's through saves and shares mostly. That's the primary. If you were to look at a tier, that's where you want your primary action coming from. Comments are amazing. They just help you in the long run. And then, of course, watch time. So if you can get that complete watch time on a video, it's just how it's just how the algorithm is going to be able to push that piece of content out more. Um, you need to also know how to stay consistent versus being frequent. Um, Candace, was there something that you had specific in mind?
yeah, I love your tiered explanation because it's kind of like I kind of like I always say the pyramid, right? You got to kind of climb up the pyramid, but it's the same thing. Different tiers depending on what the content is, right? Like if I post a funny, relatable video for making fun of my husband, like I'm not going to get probably a bunch of saves, right?
Right,
Maybe people will share,
right.
and
They'll be
that's
like, oh,
kind of
this
the
is so
goal.
odd. Yeah, that's the goal.
Because the more your account is shared, the more it's pushed out. If it's saved, it's just staying in my little phone. And it may stay saved there for 3 years, but it's easier if it gets pushed out so that more people come in to
Yep.
your page. Yes, if you are watching, we are in different clothing, and that is because we are moms running businesses. And Jennifer had spring break last week, and then I had some things come up on the weekend, and here we are. So, yes.
That's the best part about, recording when you can because it's just life is happening. So
Amen to
we
that.
we
So
roll. We just roll.
let's get into our next main topic is consistency versus frequency.
Yeah, this is a thing where a lot of people, I feel, kind of misconstrue some of these things, where you need to show up on a daily basis because it's one, just habit forming for yourself. And it's something that your following will begin to appreciate seeing you at particular times. But also, if you're able to create good quality content, you don't need to show up every single day. And this is something that we have. Everybody goes back and forth with all these gurus online. They're always saying back and forth what you should do, how many times, and all these things. And it comes down to really just you have to be always testing to always improve. And it comes from being consistently showing up. And I think that's something that we get very lost on.
Right. And everybody has, I say this a lot, but everybody has their own level of consistency, right? Like everybody has their own level. It depends on who you are, what you're posting, right? The type of content you're posting. We just had this conversation with someone in the social circle on Monday because she does longer type videos than Jennifer and I, and they're more like how to make food, how to do recipes. And we explained to her that her level of consistency and frequency, honestly, is maybe a lot less than ours because she has more editing time. She has more recording time. She's using less B-roll, right, than we are. So all of those things, it's your level of consistency. So, like something to consider, you don't have to post every day, right? Depending on what you do, who you are, and what you're posting. But
Yeah.
you don't have to post every day. But if you are on the platform every day, the algorithm is going to realize it and it knows that you're active and then you're predictable and you have a rhythm and you're coming back, whether it's every day, every week, 3 times a day, whatever your consistency is. Just make sure that you choose something that you can stick to.
Make it as simple for yourself as possible, and it will work out better for you in the long run.
Yeah, like if you say I'm going to post 3 times a day, every single day, like that's if you do that and you beat it, then that's cool. But if you say I'm going to do seven and then you're not knowing what to post and you're just posting random stuff, then you might as well have not even posted at all.
Right. It definitely feeds into your quality of what you are posting. If you are trying to do this and you're trying to increase from 1 to 2 posts a day because your reels are taking more time to edit or whatever, depending on your niche, right? You have to remember that it all just kind of goes together. So that's why it's most important just to try to plan it out, stand it all, and then be able to come in and do what you need to do on a consistent basis.
Right. And with that consistency, you got to make sure you're consistently sending the right message. Inside of that message is number three, SEO. SEO is crucial. Much more
It's
than
extremely
you,
helpful.
much more than you know, especially now that Instagram just recently introduced the search terms or the search insights or whatever that you can find whatever inside of captions, if it's been, what's the word?
Yep, I'm looking for it right now.
If it's been categorized, then
Categorized.
then Instagram will categorize it based on whatever that those keywords are. So make sure that you keep your keywords your in your captions. In if you're speaking, make sure you're using those keywords. If you're putting it on screen text, make sure you're using the keywords there as well. So just use simple searchable stuff. Like if you're talking about a certain recipe, then put that in there. Like, how do I make pretzels from home? Then
Yeah, and
figure out
that's
how to put those words from the
yeah.
SEO into your video.
And the great things behind, so one of the things that was always confusing to me was, well, how do I even know that? Well, you know that because if you use your particular platform of choice, there is a magnifying glass option for search. Now it's like Meta AI. So you can go to that search option and question most popular or whatever it is your niche is, you can ask that and then it will populate other content, other reels, and then just give you that inspiration to do your own thing in what's trending now. And this is going to help with that growth. It's going to help get that reach because you're seeing things that are already being used and implemented right now that's working. And that's
Yeah.
the idea.
And put those keywords in your hashtags. Don't use the standard hashtag FYP or whatever. Like, use keywords in your hashtags. That's another place that a lot of people forget to use them. So,
I was trying to
social
look up what that thing was called and
spotlight.
then I forgot.
Oh, it's okay. I think we're good. Just don't forget the SEO. Make sure that you're putting those keywords in that people are searching for. And if you don't know how to figure those out, you've got to join the Social Circle VIP because we have so many different ways for you to figure that out. And we've also done trainings on different things that we use personally, like Answer the Public.
And that one was a really helpful one. I think that's a really good starter. If you really don't know what you're looking for, it's just very general. I think there's another Google search trend. Google Trend Analytics, I think, is another searching tool that you could do as well. That gives you something very similar to Answer the Public. As a side note, sorry.
No, yeah, that's perfect. Let's talk about, no, I mean, reverse. Let's get into the social spotlight because I'm so excited about this one because we are going to do some quick algorithm myth busting questions if they're true or false. All right. Because we hear people say them all the time, and this is just fun. So, do you want to go or do you want me to go, Jennifer? Let's clear up any confusion here with these myth busting facts. So, the first thing that I have heard people say is, I'm shadow banned. The algorithm's out to get me. Nope, that is not true. They want to keep you on the platform. That is the whole point. They want you to stay on the app, period. So they wouldn't, it's not out to get you. They want you to stay there. They don't want you to go to another website or go to another app. So,
The next one is a poorly misconstrued one is posting more equals better reach. What actually equals better reach would be better quantity. I'm sorry, better quality rather than more quantity. That's the confusion, is that you need to have improved content in order to get that reach to actually reach the right people. Because otherwise you're just posting just to post without purpose, and that
right.
doesn't help you in any way.
Right, and that's a great example because we just talked about this before, but you could do 7 posts a day, and if they don't make any dang sense and there's no clear message, then you might as well have not have posted. But if you
Yeah,
do
exactly.
7 clear, like I don't know how many posts you're up to a day right now, because I know you're doing different tests. So, but I mean, I can do 6 posts a day easily now, but before 6 posts a day would take me forever. So if I had to do 6 posts a day, they would have been crap, you know?
Exactly. No, yeah, it was. It was very hard to do 3 posts a day. It would take me hours to edit. It felt like one post that was mediocre as a response to the people that I was intending to reach it with. And now I'm up to 10 posts a day. And that's strictly because I'm testing growth content only right now to increase my follower count. And I'm just testing I'm improving the quantity. No, I keep saying the wrong word. Quality
Quality.
by improving my skill sets on how I'm recording, what I'm recording, testing the copy. All of these things is always going to be a test, guys. This is something that you always have to keep in mind, but you have to have a plan of action as to why you're testing something for yourself so that
It's
you can
all
answer it
in the
later on.
test. In
Test.
the
It's all
test.
in the test.
All right,
Next
next
one.
one. Hashtags are dead. That's not true. So, again, something that's really misused are hashtags. So, you could put 20 hashtags. If they're not the right freaking hashtag, it's not going to matter. Jennifer and I tend to say stick, if you do any, depending on the platform, say between 3 and 5, right? And make sure that they fit with what you're talking about. Make sure they fit with the audience you're trying to reach. So, for example, when I post videos about my husband and I, depending on what it is, if it's a joke that maybe people won't get, I'll put like hashtag couples comedy. So then they know what it is and they know it's a joke, right? Something related to if I'm educating, if it's something related to the algorithm or growth or whatever, those are hashtags that I would use, right? Same for you? Yeah.
I don't use hashtags, and that's only because I've never really found them to work for my kind of content. And I mean, I guess that should be my next set of testing is to see
You
if
use some
hashtags
on
are real.
TikTok though, don't you?
On TikTok, I used to, not so much anymore. It used to be I would do everything you just said, which was relate it back with what I was doing in the content. And then I would add in, yeah, definitely don't use hashtag viral, hashtag FYP. The reason that you don't want to use these overly, highly, unnecessarily used hashtags is because you are in a sea of millions of other people. You are the lowest totem pole person to be found. So there is no point in using one of those because you are just you it's just not going to work best for you. If you can access the keyword, the SEO in your reel as your hashtag, that is just going to help the algorithm push you out further. People who are looking for that kind of stuff will find your account more specifically. It's just all in how you utilize the hashtags.
This next one is for you, sis, because you have done significant audio testing.
Only trending sounds boost your growth. I disagree because I have had several viral reels where it was Styx, it was Babe, their major song. I would test that song over and over again because the content that I was doing in my lifestyle account, it was related to being in a relationship, and it was related to something that people do as a stereotype in a relationship. And it was like, babe, you're the only one, or whatever the song is. I can't remember it, but it was drawing that nostalgic hit of, oh my God, I love that song, to, oh my God, that's so us, which prompted that reel to become more viral because people are like sharing it, sending it, commenting on it, that's so me, or oh my God, this is us. And then they get shared to other people, which is what you want ideally in order to get that growth on your account. So trending can help you grow. It is not the only way to grow. If and what I'm doing currently right now on my account is I am testing non-trending audio, which is just audio that I prefer to listen to in my bathroom when I'm taking a shower. And I'm doing a duplicate of the same reel with an audio that's similar sounding, but it's a trend right now. And so I'm testing that because I want to see how that would perform in relation to audio. So if the content is good, either kind of audio, whether it's old school, not trending right now, or it is trending right now, if the content is good, that's what matters the most.
Facts. The first 30 minutes decide whether or not your reel is going to be good. Not true. Actually, Instagram is the long game. Honestly, if you're looking at platforms over time, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, they're definitely something that you put out there is you're looking at it in a long game.
I agree. I
TikTok
think
TikTok,
TikTok
I would
definitely
say, is
screwed
more
us up.
immediate because they
Yeah.
reward you for having I just noticed this the last couple of posts I did for having like high performing X amount of likes, X amount of people viewed, blah 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 by a certain time. So, but go ahead, Jennifer.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think TikTok has given us all this whole sense of if you're not performing in your reel in the first 30 minutes, something is wrong. I think if you look at the comparisons on how you're posting on what platform, each platform has its own algorithm for certain purposes. And if you're getting rewarded on TikTok because your content is hitting faster and harder, they're like, "Oh yay, we did it. So now you're going to stay on TikTok and not try your content anywhere else." Well, they win. Now you're losing the opportunity of posting on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and that slow burn is going to kick in later on because we have seen it where we have posted and it has taken weeks to a month or longer for a reel that we did way back before Christmas, like re-show it. And the reason is because the algorithm changes on these platforms constantly, daily. There's small changes being implemented, and your content sticks and lives forever unless you archive or delete any kind of post. These algorithms will go back, recycle, and pull it back out to reach the right kind of people. So you may have done it months ago or weeks ago, it'll still end up being pulled into the current, and then it can pop off, and you won't know that until a very long time after. So definitely don't like, it's not a hard, fast rule that if your reel flops in the first 30 minutes, it's just a dead reel. Give it time depending on the platform that you're utilizing.
Yep. Posting times. I got an opinion about posting times. Everybody always talks about how you got to post at the perfect time.
I
Like,
think that's something that, yeah, that's been, there's just, if you see people telling you certain things, you got to question why, right? If they've done the legwork to get an answer to explain it to you why, and it makes sense, go ahead and listen to them. If it's like they're stumbling and they're just saying, do it just because I said so, that's definitely something to kind of run away from because they've obviously heard that from somewhere else and didn't actually do the work for themselves to be able to explain if you are posting at this certain time every day, that's like the only way. But honestly, I'm doing part of my current testing is right now cluster posting because I want to get to 15 posts every day. I cannot sit here and post 15 individual times at 15 different individual hours or half hours. That is too much for me as a single person trying to do all of this organic myself. And when you're doing that kind of stuff, It just don't, it's just, it's more if the content is best or stronger, it'll get to the right people.
That's very true. This is something that I can stand 10 toes down on because I've tested it from the very beginning. I've tested it from the very beginning because I noticed that from the jump, everybody's times were pretty much the same. 9,
Hmm.
noon, 6, 9, 9, noon, 6, 9, 9, noon, 6, 9. It was around those times where people, when they looked at their analytics, well, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense in my brain. So I've just
Yeah.
never paid it. I've never cared about it. I mean, I've posted at 2 in the morning. I've posted at 4 in the morning. I post threads I schedule now sometimes in the middle of the night. So like it's just it's something you have to test, of course. But in my experience, I would say that timing, like looking at specifically when people are active, when they're not active, plays such a minor role because your content is gonna get seen if it's good
Yeah.
content. If it's
It-
good
It'll
content, it's
it'll
gonna
keep
get seen.
rolling. Yeah, it'll keep rolling. And the times that you post won't make a difference months later, weeks later when the algorithm is like, "Oh, let's test something new and let's pull this piece of content out."
Exactly. Okay. So we like to give a little behind the scenes look inside the VIP circle. And today we want to kind of give you basic analytics to look at. And these are just basics. We go into much more detail with our students inside of our community, but we wanted to throw some out here so that you could take a look at those.
Definitely. I think one of the things that when you're getting started, you won't have any. Keep that in mind. When you're brand new, your analytics won't actually be there because you haven't developed enough. But when you've reached a certain point, like I would say you've surpassed 100 followers or even 500 followers on your account, awesome for you. That's when your professional dashboard will start to light up with all of these other analytics. And one of the things to, check on is the watch time, the length of time that someone is sticking around to actually watch the video. This matters because it's telling you that your hooks are good, your content, your subject matter in that video is good. Whatever you're doing in there is retaining information, and hopefully, if your call to action is working, you are getting the kind of reaction that you are set out to do when you make that reel. So by being able to follow the watch time on a reel and track that information, that just helps you solidify what you need to make more of to continue pushing yourself forward and pushing that growth on your account. Was there
Yeah,
another insight?
yeah, well, for example, say you have a 5-second reel, right? If somebody watches it for 7 seconds, that's gold. That's gold.
That means
Or
that they
if
watched
the
the
if
full
the
time
watch
and
time is
then
7
some.
seconds,
Yeah,
like that's gold because your video is only 5 seconds. But if your video is 5 seconds and they only watched it for two, that's
your
not
hook
good.
sucked. Your hook sucked, honestly. That's where you went wrong. And that was part of my end of March, this last several weeks testing where I was changing my real time to it was 5 seconds is where I primarily settled on with most of my reels. I've actually been pushing it shorter because my
Mhm.
text box reading has been a little bit longer. So now I'm forcing you to stay there and watch my reel because I've had words that are a little bit longer to read and think about, but my video is looping in the background, and that's telling the Instagram algorithm, hey, something's going on here. And that's also just going to help push things out. So keep that in mind too when you're setting your analytic, is when to figure this out. And analytics are under
Because
the dashboard.
your watch time helps your reach, which is the other analytic, other one we want to talk about because your reach means your content is being pushed out. Like this is how many unique people have seen your stuff. Like,
I think Mosuri calls it non-connected or unconnected reach, is people who are not currently an avid follower now. These are the people that you are trying to target when you're working on that reach. And it's something people get very frustrated because, right, they go back to, well, I'm shadow banned and my content isn't being seen by non-followers. It really comes down to are all of these tweaks and bits and pieces of your reel actually doing what it should and going out in the right amount of time people are watching it and all of stuff. You want to have, so this was my problem. I'll give you a quick quick story here. I used to only get views on Facebook. My I could not understand why when I posted my reel, I was getting 34 accounts reached on Instagram, but 692,000 reaches on Facebook. I'm like, what is going on? So, Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. If you don't know that, that's what Meta is. It's the parent company of both these two platforms. And when you are posting your reels on Instagram, it almost is like we're going to talk to Facebook first as the testing ground to see if Facebook people will watch this reel. Well, then they're going to let it go back out onto Instagram. And this is something under Facebook recommend, which I don't want to get into it because now they've removed that option. Recommend Reels to Facebook or Threads from Instagram is now their new update that they've changed. So now the testing ground here is if you're going to post a reel, you have that choice on every reel if you want to test it first with Insta or if you want it to be shared to Facebook or not. And I don't know how long that's going to stick around for based on this call today, but that's something to keep in mind when you're posting, is that your reach might be seen by non-followers on Facebook first. Then if it does very well there, then Meta might say, okay, it's working. Let's go now through Instagram and let Instagram followers get reached over here. Non-followers get reached over here. So that is something to in the background, like on the
Yeah.
fifth back burner.
Yeah. If your reach is low, your
Yep.
content probably sucked or your hook didn't grab their attention. And that's a
Biggest
hard pill to
factor.
swallow. That's a
Yeah.
hard pill to swallow when you're auditing your own account, but it's one that you
Like
have to look at.
like Gary Vee says, your content sucks, bro. Just get over that and
Just,
get
yeah,
better.
just get over it and make it better. Exactly. So just make sure that you're paying attention to your analytics. And if you want a much bigger deep dive, you've got to come over to the Social Circle VIP so that Jennifer and I can help you one-on-one. And if you do one thing this week, try this. I think we've said it before, but if you could pick between 5 and 10 things that describe you, write those down. Those are your hashtag. That's a start of your hashtag bank, right? Now you want to look for keywords to meet that SEO that go with those hashtags that kind of center around who you are. Think of it like if I wanted somebody, if somebody was looking for me, how would I describe myself?
What's that word on your shirt that you would have proudly displayed?
ACDC. And then make sure you're tracking your reach and your shares and your
Yeah.
impressions and
And
all of
and
that.
keep it allow yourself time too. That's the biggest thing here that people get so forgotten about is don't just do it once and say, well, I tried and it didn't work. You have to repeat it and do it for an extended period of time. And as always, we remind you to go ahead and follow us on our Instagrams. And Candace is here at Just a Marketing Chick, and I am here at Jen Radillac. I think this is something is going to help you. If you have any comments or questions, you can message us there right away, and check us out on YouTube. You want to subscribe to this podcast so that you get those weekly updates from us. We really hope to see you guys back here again next week. And hopefully check you out inside of our community very, very soon. Everybody, I do hope you have a really great rest of your time, and we will catch you on the next one.
Yes. Have a great day.